Hello and welcome to Church Around the Corner. I'm Rip Kinley, the station manager here at WGNM, and I am so glad that you could join us today for another edition of Church Around the Corner. You know, this program is designed to allow ministries who aren't ready to make a full-time commitment to a Christian TV show or a ministry program. It's designed for them to be able to get their feet wet and still do some TV ministry without all of the stuff that comes with it, a weekly program and that sort of thing. So I'll give you some information in just a second on how you can participate. But first and foremost, anytime I get in front of the camera, I like to remind you of our prayer request line. And actually, we're kind of changing it up a little bit. It's now our prayer request and praise report line. So if you've got a prayer request or a praise report, and it doesn't even have to be a prayer request that you've sent in, but once God does something for you, if He comes through, when He comes through for you, I want you to give us a call and let us know what God has done in your life. Has He healed you? Has He delivered you? Has He saved your marriage? When something like that happens, we want to give Him praise. And we're going to start collecting these praise reports. And we're going to post them up in our hallways. We're going to make copies of them, blow them up real big so that we can see these. And we want you to do that. Now, if you'll call the number 478-474-3986, this will give you the opportunity to leave your prayer request or your praise report. Now, when your prayer request comes in, we gather that, and on a weekly basis, we lift those up to the Lord as a staff here at WGNM. We also, again, want to take those praise reports. If you've called something in, or even if you haven't, please feel free to send in your praise report. We just cannot wait to hear what God has done in your life. Now, also, my email address is gm@wgnm.com. If you have a question for me about anything that I bring up, or about the station in general, or what we're doing here in regards to fundraising and whatnot, please feel free to give me an email, contact me. I'd love to speak with you about that. And speaking of raising funds, as you know, we're still raising funds for our New Wineskins campaign. The New Wineskins campaign is everything that's designated to help us go HD. And the need for that is great. It's a very costly program, a costly endeavor to move over into HD. But we're slowly getting it done, and I think it's time to start picking steam up. The next things that we need, we've already gotten some new HD cameras, and we've actually started producing the Pastor's Heart with multiple cameras in HD. We're going to go ahead and get a library of HD programming. That's kind of our step of faith, is going ahead, getting this HD programming up to in our library, ready to go. So when we do start broadcasting in HD, we are ready to go. We have plenty of programming in high definition, and everything will be great. The numbers and information will come up on the screen about New Wineskins. The biggest hurdles right now that we have kind of two things that we're doing simultaneously. One is air conditioning for the studio. Today I'm about to take you on a tour of the two studios that we have. But the first thing that we've got to do in Studio Joshua is to get some air conditioning. The other thing that we need for both studios, this will actually service both, is some switching gear. And the gear that we would like is a NewTek TriCaster 460. For what we need, it's around $15,000. I think I just noticed the other day that I think maybe there's been a price bump on those. So that may be a little bit more, we may need a little bit more than $15,000. So in order to get what we need, when we get that switching gear, it's going to be able to do some amazing things for us. Number one, it'll handle all of our video and audio needs in production. The thing will even tweet and post to Facebook for us, as we can pull out video when we're doing a production and send that out to our Facebook and Twitter accounts. And just encourage you and let you know what we're doing. It will do so many things, especially for a crew like we have. of just very skeleton crew. We would just love to be able to switch these cameras live. It'll save us time. It'll save us money if we go ahead and get this equipment. So we need your help to do that. So if you would prayerfully consider a check or money order, you can send it to the address on the screen, and we'd be more than happy to partner with you if you're believing for something. Just had a church even. If you're part of a church and you're believing for something, I had a church that's believing something and they sowed a seed into new wineskins. And they told me what they were believing for. We prayed about it, that this would be good seed sowed into good ground. So that's they're investing in the work of the sower, and that's where the reward is. As we move on today, it's going to be kind of a different day for Church Around the Corner. The second half of the program is going to be we're going to take you on a tour. So I know you want to see that. It's a behind-the-scenes tour of the 2 studios that we're talking about. And you're going to see a lot of the things. So I will wind up repeating a lot of stuff to let you know so you can see what's going on. We here at WGNM have a history of naming things. We serve a God who calls that which isn't as if it was. And there's power in naming things, giving things a name. It's by the name of the Lord, the people who know His name. There's something about naming things, and I firmly believe in the power of naming things and imbuing certain things or people with things that go along with that name. And one of the things the Lord has taught us years ago, when we first got our first 2 editing systems, these are 2 computer systems that could edit for us and switch. These are the ones that they're old now, but we got them about 11 years ago. And when they were put onto a network, the IT guy from CTN, he said, I need to give them a name so they can identify themselves on the network. And usually something like that, it would be WGNM Edit 01 or WGNM Edit 02, something like that. But I asked for 2 specific names on those 2 computers. They were Enoch and Elijah. And the reason I named them those is because those are the 2 people in the Old Testament who never died. And I wanted these computers to last a long time. I didn't want them to die on me. And that may sound trivial, it may sound kind of half joking, but I was serious about that. And you know what? Here's what's really amazing. If you've ever had a computer, to get a computer to last 2 to 4 years is pretty good. You've usually gotten your money out of it. But did you know that those 2 computers are still in operation today here at this station? They are 11 years old. They're showing their age, but they are still in operation. We've got one of them to do all of our file downloading. We download programs here, and it works like a charm for that. The other one is still doing some editing, and it's slow, and it's again showing its age and becoming a little bit slow to do video editing, but it's still working. And that's 11 years. It's 11 years old, and we named them that. As I was beginning to see what the Lord would have us do in regards to our studios, I was in prayer one day, and He reminded me of the story of the computers, Enoch and Elijah, and how he's the one who pointed out to me, hey, these things are still in operation. These things are still working. You are still getting great use out of these 2 pieces of equipment. And so I said, okay, Lord, what else do you want me to name? And He told me that He wanted the studios to be named Caleb and Joshua. And I couldn't figure it out at first. I mean, I've always liked that story of Joshua and Caleb, but I couldn't figure a lot of it out at first. But I'm going to kind of do a refresher course on who Joshua and Caleb are, and then we're going to take you on a tour and show you these 2 studios. Caleb, which is the studio we're in now, this is our small studio, he was not a Hebrew by birth. He was a convert. His family was a convert to Judaism. And that's one of the things about this facility, Studio Caleb. It was not always a studio. As a matter of fact, where I'm sitting right now used to be the sales office when we were a UPN station. Where the camera is, or where you're sitting right now, used to be our conference room. We tore down a wall between these two rooms so that we could get a decent throw from camera to subject and from light to wall and get a better picture regarding this. So we tore down a wall and did some changing around and made Studio Caleb. We did a lot of changing on that. So there was a conversion process that we went through. Now, Caleb was still a leader amongst the tribe that he had been adopted into. He was chosen as the leader of the tribe to be one of the spies that Moses sent into the Promised Land. Now, he saw what was in the Promised Land. He saw the fruit and the challenges that lay ahead, but he still chose to listen to God, that God had given to it. Numbers 13, when people started grumbling about the giants in the land, it says, "Then Caleb silenced the people before Moses and said, 'We should go up and take possession of the land, for we can certainly do it.'" Now, here at WGNM, we are keenly aware of what we don't have, but we are committed to seeing things as God sees. The people saw the obstacles and made a judgment based on that, but Caleb made a judgment on the word of the Lord. And that's what we want to do here with Studio Caleb. We want to take what is just this converted office and conference room and preach the word of the Lord from this spot. You know, the residents of Hebron specifically struck fear into the hearts of the Israelites because they were huge people. The legend had it that they were descendants from angels who had come to earth. And Caleb did not fear, though. He said that we were well able to take it. And you know what? When the land was doled out, when Caleb finally got his mountain at 85, Hebron was where his mountain was located. So the thing that caused fear in others was his victory. So we are looking at Middle Georgia, at Macon, and we are saying, hey, this is something that we are not going to be afraid of. We are well able to take it because God has given it to us. And real quickly, Joseph was obviously the one to lead the Israelites into the Promised Land. But there was a following of the presence, and that's one of the things that we've made really big at WGNM lately. I'm going to read real quickly from Joshua 3, 2 through 5. After 3 days, the officers went through the camp, giving orders to the people, "When you see the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God and the Levitical priest carrying it, you are to move out from your positions and follow it. Then you will know which way to go, since you've never been this way before. But keep a distance of about 2,000 cubits between you and the ark. Do not go near it." Joshua told the people, "Consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things among you." And Joshua, the whole thing about Joshua is consecration. We have consecrated that area in the back as a studio. We don't call it a warehouse. We don't call it storage. We call it a studio. We have called it a studio for a very long time. And for about a year now, we've called it Studio Joshua. Now, I'm going to take just a little bit of extra time here, but I want to share with you very briefly what I see these two stations doing. I see ministry being done a new way in Middle Georgia. WGNM will be a revival hub for Macon and Middle Georgia. I see both of these studios being used at the same time. I also see them filled with production, shows being produced with an audience, and then I also see music programs being produced. Now, when we come back, I want to take you on a tour of the two studios and what we have to offer. So I can't wait to show it to you, so hang in there. We'll be back after this with Church Around the Corner.
To
Welcome to Studio Caleb. We want to kind of give you a behind-the-scenes tour and show you how we're using the space God has given us to its hopefully maximum potential, and then show you where we're going to take you and show you Studio Joshua after this, and show you our future potential and what we want, what we see, what we envision for this space. Now this is, as you can see, we always have little props and stuff. These are my children, Trip and Jed. You'll see pictures of them quite frequently on sets that we have here. And then we have a nice chroma key wall. This is where we produce a good chunk of our productions. This is where we do Church Around the Corner. When you see one of our pastors on Church Around the Corner with the cross and the big stone wall behind them, they're actually up against this green screen, and the computer adds the wall in. That's one of the great things we have about technology today. We can just do about anything. If I'm doing a reality check that requires a chroma key, or we're doing Just a Minute, which is a new offering that we're doing, it'll probably be against the chroma key wall. Now, one of the things that's neat about this chroma key wall is it's portable, because we've got it hooked up as a curtain. And I'm going to show you that this is also the area that we shoot the pastor's heart. So this thing's on a track, much like what you would see at a hospital, curtain track. So we move that out of the way. The track actually runs all the way around the room here. But there's the background of the pastor's heart. So we're utilizing this space the most. This end of the studio gets the bulk of our production that we do. And this is where we do it. Obviously, our table and chairs and all that kind of stuff. We're producing now new episodes of The Pastor's Heart. We can't wait to bring those to you. We're so excited about how we're doing that and using this space to the best of our ability. Now, as we move over here, there's other places to do things along this wall. We added, you'll notice, some faux brick columns to the facility to give some texture on our backgrounds and stuff. So we're really excited about that just because of the look that it gives us. Then on this side of the studio, you'll notice that we've got this. This is also a curtain that runs on the same track. This is where Brother C does his program, Traveling the Old Path. Now this is a curtain, like I said, it would be movable so that we could do another client's production if they wanted to do some production here. Another thing you might be able to see is a soundboard for mixing of audio. Whenever we get some switching gear, we'll be able to handle all that stuff back in our production office. So a lot of this will be moved back in the way. You'll notice that it's very crowded. You'll see different set pieces. You're going to see probably some lights, and because we have to hang things from the ceiling, it's a very crowded space, as you can see, because this is all of it. This is all the room we've got. One of the things we envision here, probably the only other thing other than other client production that we want to do, is over in this area, we would like to be able to do, along this wall right here, is where we want to do our live prayer show. We'd have to build a set for it and all that, but we'd like to kind of do it over there. Kind of got that spot reserved for the live prayer show. Coming along over here, one of the things we have, there's some small speakers over here. As I've mentioned already, one of the things that we have had a renewed sense of purpose regarding is pursuing His presence, the presence of Holy Spirit. And we've got this space filled with music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just to set the atmosphere, to reserve a space. This is also the space where we have our staff meetings, our prayer meetings. We spend some time in praise and worship in here. When I'm here by myself, I always spend time in this room praying over the station, over all of Middle Georgia and our purpose here. And it's about pursuing His presence. This is not just a studio. This is our pulpit, our prayer room, our go-to spot in the facility. this is where we do our ministry. And I want you to understand that we're trying to use this to the best of our ability. Also wanted to make sure that you saw our two of our 3 new cameras. We're obviously shooting this on a third, but we're utilizing the space as best we can. So I wanted to show you that this is Studio Caleb. We named it Caleb. I've already explained to you why, but we've named this one Caleb, and it's going to help us achieve Joshua. And let's go and take a look at Studio Joshua. Believe it or not, you are looking at Studio Joshua. I know it doesn't look like a TV studio right now, but we see what God sees here. This is Studio Joshua. Now, I want to take you on a tour of what we see, and hopefully I'll be able to communicate to you the vision that the Lord has given us about this studio and what we envision for this space. I know it looks an awful lot like a warehouse, but we see it, we call it Studio Joshua, because we believe that naming things, I've already explained this to you, naming things is important. But what we see back here is, obviously there's a lot of electrical stuff over here. We're going to close that into its own room and a little small storage area. But then on the outer wall of that, we want to have a desk area, a long bench type desk where ministry personnel can come in and do work on scripts, work on finding scripture verses, working on productions. They can sit here and do work with their laptops, have a phone, all that sort of stuff. So it'll be a working studio. That's what we envision as this being, is a working studio. Now over here, we see what we're considering our main set. It's going to wrap around just before that closed door over there and come out this way a little bit. And in this area, we will be able to do all sorts of programming. This is where we'll do the Pastor's Heart, hopefully with an audience. We'd love to have, every time a pastor comes in, they bring an audience with them, and we do the Pastor's Heart, maybe reserving time for question and answer. We see a music program being done here. We see, I'd love to be able to talk to a music minister of a church and say, listen, bring your praise team, your praise band, with your 10 best songs that you do, and we'll record them. And then if I get 10 churches at least to do that, well then now I have a library of 100 songs, and we can produce maybe a morning worship program we cut together different songs from different churches and show how we worship the same Father. We may do it differently, we may sound differently, we may look different, but we all have the same Father, and we worship Him each Sunday. There's no reason we should be segregated off because of skin or music style, worship style. We're all worshiping the same Father. And then along over in here we see another set. Don't know what this set will be, but we see another set, and then we'll have another shooting set where the camera is standing right now. Now you'll notice here too that we have a lot of equipment. Because of where we're located, CTN sometimes leaves equipment here for us to store until it moves on to another TV station. Most of this equipment is bound for Nashville, actually. When they get the opportunity, they will install this as a backup transmitter for our Nashville station. And I tell you what, I love CTN. CTN is an awesome organization. I believe in our vision, but I'm tired of storing their stuff. I want to start doing programs in here. Now, obviously, there's several issues with this facility, this part of the facility. The first and foremost, we're taping this in April, and it's a mild day outside. It's actually quite pleasant outside, and it's already hot in here. I can only imagine what it would be like trying to produce a TV program in here in the middle of July or August. We need air conditioning. Air conditioning, lights, light grids. We have to do some stuff for sound treatment you'll hear the bounce of the audio going on. We got to be able to do something to deaden that audio. There are skylights in the ceiling that have to be blacked out. We have to do some stuff to the floor to level out the floor. There's a lot of work to be done in here, and we see it happening. We see, even though it's not done in the natural, we see this as having happened. It's done, and we're calling it forth. Even though we can't see it in the natural, we see it in the spiritual, and that's what we're doing. So this is Studio Joshua. We need help doing all of this stuff. We can't do it on our own. This is your Christian TV station. Imagine the type of ministry, new ministry, that's never been seen or done in Middle Georgia, going out from here to all over the world. There's so much that could be done in here. There's probably even ideas that while you're seeing this space that you get that I haven't had yet. And this is what it's for, a space to be able to produce programs, to produce ministry. We see this place as a revival hub, a hub to train evangelists and teachers and pastors and send them out. Produce videos that will go across the world to train people. So this is Studio Joshua. We hope you've enjoyed our little behind the scenes tour today with Church Around the Corner. We'll see you again next week.